We're going to get started in just a minute. We're going to give everybody just another minute or two to get in and get set up, and we'll get started. So thanks for your patience. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today for this. I'm Zach Benoit. I'm the Community Relations Manager here at Billings Clinic. And I'm not going to get too much into the details, but as we all know, stroke care is incredibly important, not just here, but throughout Montana and Wyoming, especially in a lot of these rural areas that we serve. patients, no matter where they're at, need to have that care. And so we're really excited to have you all here today to join us for this announcement. It's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for the region. And so without spoiling too much of it, I want to turn it over to Dr. Clint Seeger, Billings Clinic CEO, to share a few more details and get us kicked off. Dr. Seeger?
Good afternoon. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm Dr. Clint Seeger. I'm the interim CEO for Billings Clinic. I want to thank everyone for being here. So we're here to talk about stroke, as Zach alluded to. Stroke care this is about advancement of stroke care in Montana and Wyoming. When someone has a stroke, it is time sensitive. It is important to move as fast as possible. Yeah. So strokes are extremely complicated, as our colleagues here will tell you. There's not a one-size-fits-all for stroke. Every patient needs unique care. That's why it's so important for our organization to be ready to care for anything that walks through our door with respect to stroke care. Today, we're here to announce an important advancement in stroke care across our region. It is my honor to announce that Billings Clinic has earned Comprehensive Stroke Center certification by DNV. This is the absolute highest stroke care certification a hospital can receive and puts us in elite company, joining about 300 hospitals across the country that have this comprehensive designation. We are the first and only healthcare organization in Montana and Wyoming to earn this designation. The closest comprehensive stroke center prior to this announcement is more than 550 miles away. This means that we have demonstrated that we have the people, the resources, the equipment to quickly and expertly care for any stroke that arrives in our facility. It means that people throughout our region do not have to travel hundreds of miles to get the highest level of stroke care that they need. I want to give just a few thanks for this, the work that's been done. This designation is a result of the extremely hard work of a team of individuals at Billings Clinic who have helped to put us on the map and to advance us to the highest level of stroke care. And I want to thank them for their countless hours of work and dedication. We've also seen great support through our community. There's generous donations and supporters who have given to allow us to purchase equipment like our advanced biplane imaging equipment, which helps us to treat some of the most complex strokes that we see. I would like to thank the Billings Clinic board as well as the foundation board for their direction, their support, and strategy on this endeavor. And lastly, to thank everyone else at Billings Clinic who has had a hand on advancing us to this level of care. I'd like to hand over to Dr. Gohar Chaudhry. Dr. Chaudhry is one of our neurohospitalists who has been part of the team who has helped to advance us. So Dr. Chaudhry, we come say a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Seeger. My name is Gohar Chaudhry. I'm a vascular trained neurologist and one of the stroke program directors. The region has a need for a comprehensive stroke center. And as a center, we cover a large area and want to provide the best care for all patients in the region. Earning this certification means we have the tools and expertise to treat any stroke patient, including having advanced imaging techniques like biplane imaging. And this involves live three-dimensional imaging of brain vessels, which guides the neurosurgeon in removing clots from the brain during a stroke. We also have something called CT perfusion scan. Now, this helps evaluate the amount of blood flow to the brain during a stroke. And of course, we also have MRI, CT angiogram, and transcranial Dopplers as well. We also have 24/7 availability of physicians trained in vascular neurology, endovascular neurosurgery, and neurosurgery. We also have 24/7 availability of personnel in imaging, operating room, endovascular facilities. Experience and expertise in treating ischemic stroke, we have that in-house as well, including treating intracerebral hemorrhage, vascular malformations, which would also include aneurysms, and subarachnoid hemorrhages. We have a dedicated neuroscience ICU beds, including board-certified neurocritical care physicians and facilities to treat complex stroke patients. So I came here a few years ago to help build this advanced stroke program, and I'm proud of the commitment and dedication from our team. Relationships with critical access hospitals are crucial for coordinated care, and I would like to highlight a recent example of this. A few weeks ago, a patient in their early 50s had sudden onset of right-sided paralysis and language problems, severe language problems. They were taken to a local critical care hospital, and staff quickly identified the patient was having a stroke. They were transferred to our facility where Dr. Fredrickson and his team were able to remove a clot from the patient's brain, restoring blood flow. The patient was able to go home without any significant rehabilitation needs after regaining complete strength on the right side and also improved language function. Another thing that we can also do here is, I have the Comprehensive Stroke Center designation, is doing advanced stroke research as well. So we plan to hopefully enroll in crucial trials and do our own research as well. Now, Dr. Vance Ferguson will now share some remarks. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for attending. My name is Vance Fredrickson. I'm a neurosurgeon and neuroendovascular surgeon. This is an exciting time for Billings Clinic. We've rapidly expanded our stroke services for Montana, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. While I think over the last year we've functioned as a comprehensive stroke center, this official designation is very important. In 2022, Billings Clinic admitted nearly 700 patients with stroke-like symptoms, and we treated almost 400 confirmed stroke cases. As a hospital, we provide treatments for the most complicated stroke patients in the region, and our Comprehensive Stroke Center designation acknowledges that we provide these treatments in a safe and efficient manner. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Fredrickson, Dr. Chaudhry, Dr. Seeger, thank you so much for sharing all of that information. We do have one other element that I think is truthfully, at the end of the day, it's the most important thing, and that's what happens with the patients when they get here. And so I want to introduce you all to Phil Ostrowski. He's going to join us virtually here. He is out of state. He lives in Sheridan, Wyoming, but he is back east visiting some family, so couldn't be here in person. But Phil is a really good example of how all of these different pieces work together to take care of patients in a comprehensive manner, as this certification entails. So I want to turn it over to Phil here to share a little bit of his story and his experience in receiving stroke care. So Phil, I'll give you the floor here. All right, looks like we're having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to get Phil back on.
All right, yeah. So this, oh, thank you. My name is Ronnie Restad. I am the System Director of Regulatory and Accreditation for Billings Clinic. And honestly, this is but a very small part of the people that were involved in this incredible honor. About a year ago, a team had decided that we should go after comprehensive stroke because, as Dr. Frederickson had said, we've been doing that work, and we wanted to be able to be recognized nationally for the work that we were doing. I'm going to tell you there were a lot of Friday morning 0700 meetings that we did, like every single week last year, working through the elements that we needed to get through in order to be able to have achieved this designation. We had the numbers. There were numbers that we had to hit of thrombectomies, and that was one of the things that we were waiting on. We couldn't submit the application until we had hit our designated numbers. We have a team of really dedicated people that have been doing a ton of work to make sure that we have hit the elements. Now, are we perfect? Nope, but we are sure, we are sure doing our best. And there are certainly areas that we can continue to improve. And that's the wonderful thing about this type of a designation is that they allow us the opportunity to continue to evolve. And so we're working on additional things to make us even better, and that's really exciting. But I'm going to tell you, we are providing amazing care here at Billings Clinic to our stroke patients, and anybody would be very fortunate to be able to come here if they were having an episode. So that's about all I've got to say. But it was a culmination of a great deal of work, a great deal of love. A great deal of money was allocated to make sure that we had the equipment that we needed, that we had the right neurosurgeon and support, that we're able to have locum coverage, we're able to have outside providers come on that rare occasion that Dr. Frederickson actually takes a weekend off. So yeah, it's a really exciting place to be, and we are pretty darn thrilled. So thank you.
Zach and Jimmy, I wonder if the docs would maybe answer a few questions we may have from the audience. If you don't see any questions, just consider I mean, just questions if you'll use the microphone. Yeah. Well, Dr. Frederickson, could you tell me the numbers again of the patients that you saw or that were admitted in 2022 that seemed to have signs of stroke, and how many were?
Yeah, so 700 patients with stroke-like symptoms, and then just under 400 of those patients actually had a stroke that was then managed medically or procedurally or both.
I was curious, when we didn't have the biplane, we didn't have this technology, it added 6 or 7 or 8 hours to the care process to have them go to Denver or somewhere, one of the other destinations. We've seen that save brain and better outcomes. How does that work to get this sooner?
Yeah, I think with most of these, whether it be an ischemic stroke or hemorrhagic stroke, time is of the essence. So if you can shave anywhere from 6 to 8 hours off of the time to care, that's really important, and that's salvage brain.
That's like average of 6 to 8 hours. We don't need longer. And some patients even die. I need them. So by doing it much quicker, with better outcomes, I think we might get better. So this will be a common story.
And also important to note, I was in Salt Lake City before coming here. When patients come into Salt Lake City from all over Montana and Wyoming, they're stuck in Salt Lake City, often without their families or any support. As far as follow-up care went, it was hard for these patients to then go for follow-up care should they need it. It was hard for these patients to get into rehab out of those hospitals. So there are a lot of trickle-down effects that are positive, keeping patients here close to home.
Looks like we have our patient. Yeah, you might want to talk to you and get follow-up. Stay nearby.
All right, so I'm going to start over. We've got Phil Ostrowski. I do apologize. We had some internet issues that booted them from our meeting here partway through. So with that said, we're going to have Phil come on and share his story. Phil, if you want to turn your camera on and your microphone, if you're able, and I'd love to have you speak with our crowd here.
Okay, there's the microphone. The camera's not on?
Nope, there's a little button up at the top that says camera that should open it up for you. There we go. All right.
Okay.
Phil, the floor is
All right.
yours here.
Okay, great. Well, as everybody knows, my name's Phil Ostrowski, and I was a patient there. I came in from Sheridan. I went in with severe headaches I called my primary physician, Dr. Schomburg there in Sheridan, and ended up seeing his PA, Diana Carson, and I went in and talked to her for a little bit, and she went out and made a couple phone calls and came back in, and she said, you got to get up to the hospital just as quick as you can to the ER room, and don't waste any time, and they'll be waiting at the door. Well, I got up there, and well, needless to say, they figured out what was wrong right away. It just happened to be Dr. Schomburg came in at that time too, and he was just there at the hospital. He wasn't there to come in and see me or anything like that. And he told me, he said, you know, we got to get you to Billings. And you know, obviously none of that really resonated with me very much because, you know, I'm a strong, healthy person. I don't consider myself as old as I probably should sometimes. And he said, you really need to go to Billings, and that's the place you need to be. And of course, even at that time, I didn't understand anything about, you know, what you guys had there at the clinic as far as taking care of stroke victims. I thought when somebody had a stroke or something, they went to the hospital, they went in and did a few things to you and fixed you up and you went home. I had no idea it was such an elaborate process is what it is. Well, there was a snowstorm going on at the time. They couldn't fly me in, so they ended up getting an ambulance out of Billings to take me up, or Buffalo, I mean, and to take me to Billings. And they got me there. I think it was about 8 o'clock that evening. And well, as you all know the story, they put me in the ICU, and Dr. Fredrickson found you know, where the rupture had taken place, and he ended up putting a coil inside me, which he'll be able to explain all that far better than I can, even though I have been watching a lot of YouTube on stroke victims and stuff now since it all happened to me. But anyway, yeah, so I ended up being in there, and he put the coil in me, and shortly after that, I was up and running the hallways. In a nutshell, it was quite an experience, to say the least. I don't know who has read the letter I wrote to Dr. Fredrickson, but I tried to put in pretty good detail, you know, my experience there as far as, you know, getting into such a system as that, because it was pretty remarkable, you know. I mean, I feel pretty stupid that I didn't even know that such a, you know, a piece of healthcare was so advanced as it is there. You know, to be able to go in and specialize in something that is so life-threatening to so many people is pretty mind-boggling in itself. but to see the system work firsthand is also mind-boggling. I, as most of you know, uh, I was completely thrown back from the whole experience. Fact is, I don't think it really dawned on me until after I did have the coil put in, after Dr. Fredrickson put that coil in me, that I really understood what the heck was going on and the seriousness of it, So from that point on, I think is when my rehab began, and I just I just can't express enough uh, how well taken care of that I felt all the time I was there. Uh, even my wife, I would tell her when I was in there, don't worry about me. They got this. I was more worried about her mental health than I was my own at the time. But it was quite an experience, and I guess something that I meant to put in that letter to Dr. Fredrickson, and I just didn't know how to do it without kind of muddying it up. I wanted to keep it short and not lose his interest while he was reading it by any means. But one thing that I did experience in there was the when it comes to the nurses. To give you a little background on myself, I work for a construction company. I'm a job superintendent, and we do fairly big jobs. The last big one I did was there in Sheridan. That was a $50 million project, and I had 68 subcontractors on that job. Needless to say, there's definitely a lot to do, and the troubles that we have getting employees and retaining employees is just mind-boggling. And when you do get them, half the time you wonder why you have them in the first place. But one thing I found inside that clinic was some of the young people that are the nurses and stuff in there, how in tune they were to what they were doing. I mean, everybody was, but to see a young person, and of course, everybody looks young to you once you turn 60, I guess, too, but, they really took a lot of interest in what they did. I mean, I can guarantee you that everybody in that room, shortly into a conversation with anybody can tell if somebody's bullshitting them or not. And when it came to me asking the nurses, a question about, say, my medication, or, why are you waking me up every 30 minutes? Why are you, why are you drawing blood every 4 hours on me? This doesn't make any sense. They always had an answer for me, but they were never afraid to say, I really don't know the answer to that. I'm going to get a hold of Kelly, or I'm going to get a hold of Aaron or Rachel or somebody. They would always say that, and by gosh, they always came back and they gave me that answer, which I thought was pretty impressive, because the only thing I can think, like with my job, when we're trying to recruit employees, you have to start with some type of substance and you build from there. And in this day and age, a lot of times you're not starting with anything and you're trying to build something out of it. And my hat goes off to the people there, the nurses there, that are working on that floor, because I can tell you, it's from living it and experiencing it, it's not an easy job up there, and some of the things that, they have to deal with on a daily basis, when when I started recuperating, I really believe that, as I told Dr. Fredrickson in that letter, that, I thought it was a 3-phase process. The aneurysm, treating that aneurysm, I mean, is pretty serious stuff. But the main drive behind me getting myself back on my feet and getting myself back to normal seemed to be my mental state and having a positive attitude towards what I was doing. And as I was going through this process in the last, 3-4 weeks with my wife, I've been out here in Virginia. I had a family episode I had to go to in Vermont, and then we came to Virginia where both my kids live. They're in the Navy out here, and anyway, we just been kind of hiding out. That's the way I stay away from work and stay away from those type of meetings and stuff. And I really came to realize, how much my state of mind was developing, just like my physical well-being was developing, and how much it played such an important key into it. And that's when Doris said, hey, you really need to write Dr. Fredrickson a letter and get this in, because I know this sounds crazy, but each day I woke up in the morning, I felt better. I felt better physically, and I felt better mentally. It was like I was, it's like peeling an onion. You take each layer at a time, and each layer I got better. And all through this time, I kept thinking back at the time when I first got out of bed after 4 days being in bed. And I tell you, I really believed in my heart and in my mind that I had all my faculties, intact. And it didn't take me long to realize that I wasn't even close. I thought I had it, but I didn't. And it was such an amazing thing how it all played such a key role in, getting back on my feet physically, And I tell you, I cannot. Yes.
This is Zach here. I actually wanted you to, if you can, I think the big question is, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I am feeling great. Fact is, I got up this morning and I went through a leg routine and back routine, which consisted of the first time doing squats. I didn't do a lot of weights. I did some deadlifts. I did 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. And then I did a few back exercises. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been working out Monday through Friday. I'm definitely taking Kelly's advice, and I haven't been lifting heavy weights or anything like that, but I am definitely pushing the envelope, let's say.
Well, I think it's safe to say you're doing more than most of us in this room already. So I do want to open it up for our guests. Do you have any questions for Phil before we wrap up here?
I couldn't hear him, Zach.
He said that about 25% of patients with similar aneurysm to you don't survive the first 24 hours, but that it's pretty clear that you've made it past that and that you're going to be all right there. So.
Yeah. That's what I told my wife. I'm not going anywhere, and this is obvious, so she better start liking me.
All right. Well, Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us. We'll let you get on with your day, but we're just so happy that you're doing well, that you were able to celebrate with us here.
Well, again, I just like to say one short thing. Thank you to everybody, and thanks for the Billings Clinic and Dr. Fredrickson. I thank you very much for your talent, and I just feel so blessed that I am coming through this with. I would bet you in a couple more weeks' time, I'm not even going to know I went well. I don't know about that, but that's stretching it a little bit. I feel great, and I'm still doing a lot better, and thank you all very, very much.
All right. So with that, I just want to note that it takes a lot of people to make a case like that work. It takes a lot of people, a lot of systems, a lot of planning to make all of this work. And that's really what we're here to celebrate today, is all of those things coming together for people like Phil. So thank you all for being here. For media that's here, if you have other questions, if you want to get interviews set up, we can do that now. So thank you all for joining us here, and thank you for celebrating.
He probably doesn't.
That must be Vance right there. Oh, no, there he is right there. Well, I'm just going to hang up.
Or you can just turn off your camera and stand for a minute. Because they've muted you.
How do I? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that way